What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast, a proud partner of the Blue Wire family and the Eurostep Podcast Network. As always, I am your host, Numac, and joining you post live stream, our first ever live stream that we did on YouTube. Go check it out, Eurostep Podcast Network, if you want to watch a recap of a draft that already happened. But joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, doing well. We are still going on as the draft is rolling on. So we might have some developments. Who knows? Brian Gutekunst likes to do some maneuvering, but yeah, Packers came away with a pick.
Yeah, and at pick 13, they didn't pick my dream pick. They had the opportunity to, but they didn't. We'll get to that later. But they picked edge rusher Lukas Van Ness from Iowa. That was my best Brian Balaga
Iowa.
Iowa impression. One of the top edge rushers on the board. I think he was as high as I saw him mocked, like 7, 8. Like he was in the not top, or he was like in the middle of the top 10 for a while. Ends up quote unquote falling to 13, which I think is appropriate given that like when you and I started going through the like the draft process and looking at prospects and like around the combine starting ish time, Lukas Van Ness was slated to go 22, and then kind of rose all the way to the top 10, and then ends up going 13 to the Packers. So I think that's a healthy medium for where he was about going throughout the entire process. But yeah, big guy. He, like we said in our if I can think of the words, previews of the defensive side, never started at Iowa, which is fine, just sort of the antiquated system that Iowa has. But 6'5", 272 pounds, from Illinois, but he was watching the draft in Wisconsin, which was something at least to behold. In his 3 years of playing time at Iowa, uh, he had 2 playing seasons, I should say. My apologies. He redshirted in 2020. But 33 tackles in 2021 and 38 in 2022, 7 sacks in 21 and 6.5 in 22. So he gets home to the pass rusher in those 14, 13 games. Overall, I think he wasn't the edge rusher I wanted. Overall, I wanted Miles Murphy, but I think he'll still be a pretty quality guy, and we'll get more into the specifics later. But I guess I gave my initial reaction on stream. I felt like I was the center of attention on that. If we'll post that clip later, but Jordan, what was your reaction to the pick? I guess obviously knowing that my big pick was Jackson Smith, the Jigba, obviously going Lukas Van Ness. Uh, what was your reaction to Lukas Van Ness getting picked by the Packers?
Quick side note: our first tight end is off the board. The Bills have selected Dalton Kincaid with the 25th pick.
To go with
Dawson Knox.
That's interesting. Okay, fair enough.
Um, yeah, the Van Ness pick. 2 things. One was about the draft order. Kind of what we expected until the Lions threw a loop with selecting what is his name? Jahmyr Gibbs, right?
Yep.
From Alabama.
Yep.
Things presented themselves where teams are moving up, but they weren't taking, kind of the sexy names, offensive weapons, the guys that we would. Yes.
For draft order, I'd say it got a little wonky when the Falcons took Bijan Robinson at 8. Like I think that was
yes.
the wrong pick before the Lions proceeded to take the running back at 12. But go on with your point.
In terms of like prospects that were considered to be the top of the draft, like this class,
Right.
big board kind of stuff. So yeah, you're following that along with it, but then as we got closer, and then when the Packers on the clock, I always felt like it was going to be defensive. I never got it selected. At this point, I will be more shocked when it is an offensive player.
Right.
It's a wide receiver. It's a pass catching weapon, or Jordan Love when that pick was in
Right.
a couple years ago. As far as Van Ness himself, what, he was the 3rd edge rusher off the board?
I
Right?
can tell you First one would have been Will Anderson,
Anderson,
and then the second one would have been
Tyree Wilson, right?
yep, and then Lukas Van Ness. So yep.
Yeah, which kind of wild
Which
considering where.
go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry.
Nope. Go.
Well, I was gonna say it was kind of wild considering just where we that was. I don't know when mid January when we started kind of like transitioning from the end of the Packers season to now. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a very Packers pick.
Yeah,
I'm not underwhelmed. I'm not overwhelmed. I just feel like
you're whelmed.
I'm very whelmed. I'm very whelmed. Like the production is there, the versatility is there. They certainly needed help on the line. Obviously, um, Rashan Gary's going to be coming back from injury. We hope that he's, you know, healthy by the start of the season, but that's still going to take some time to get to up to full speed.
Right.
You got Preston Smith. You got some unproven edge rushers like Kingsley and Igbari. Who's the other edge rusher? Justin Hollins. They got back, but like
Yep.
it was a need, and if they're going from judging their own board and how they value and everything like that. Like, I'm not all that surprised that they went the way that they did because this is kind of the Packers MO.
Right. For what it's worth, Dame Brugler had the order of the edge rushers the same way it went in the draft. Will Anderson Jr., Tyree Wilson, and Lukas Van Ness. He had them 1, 2, 3. And then if you're going by the Beast guide,
Yeah.
Nolan Smith and then Miles Murphy, which neither one have been taken yet as of pick 25 to the Bills. So we'll see how that goes. Doesn't really matter at this point unless some of those guys fall to 42, which would be a shocker. But yeah, as opposed to like expecting offense, no, I wasn't really expecting offense. I was more so wishing for offense because I've said it until I've been blue in the face that we really need to capitalize on Jordan Love's first 2 years and decide and like, really understand what he's capable of, and giving him as many weapons as possible would have been doing that. JSN was there at 13. Everybody on Packers media, everybody on Twitter was like, only JSN at 13. Only JSN at 13. Packers don't predictably don't listen to their fans or the media and go defense, which is again good. Like this is very much an idea of the Packers really leveling up on defense to get somebody opposite of Rashan Gary for the next 5 years, which is good. Like that's thumbs up. Like if they're going on defense, their front seven is going to be very, very annoying to play against. So long as Lukas Van Ness can help stop the run, like he'll be a great pick. He'll be an impact player.
Rated out as a good run stopper too.
Perfect.
Just FYI.
Pretty fast too. Ran a 4.58. That's.
I think what was his? I had his let me actually bring this up.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, 4.58. His RS score. I can try and find it.
Yeah, it was very high.
You got it, or need me to get it?
You might have to get it. I already lost it.
Okay.
7.023 cone, sprint 2, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, the shuttle.
Shuttle. There we go. Yeah, very athletic. I don't think it was easy for us to like get into like the Miles Murphys of like this guy's a tank, that kind of thing and everything like that. Like, but Lukas Van Ness, for what it's worth, is a very athletic, great size kind of guy. Like he does have traits and everything that you would want to have on the front line.
939 RS score, 6'5", like we had mentioned, 272 for his weight. He had 17 on the bench, so not like the biggest, strongest, but still very athletic, very fast. 4.58 40 time, and like you said, good shuttle scores or shuttle time. I'm sorry, of 4.32 and a 3 cone of 7.02. So all very good. Grades out similar to Preston Smith, which works out just fine. Trey Hendrickson and Ezekiel Ansah, so similar. And Trevon Walker from last year.
Yep.
Just an idea of sort of the athlete he kind of is, but good company to be around. All four of those players are great names and are pretty talented players. So,
yeah.
Trey Hendrickson, is he the Bengals guy?
Yes.
Yeah, the guy who had the return for the yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm fine if he turns out like any one of those players. So um yeah, overall, I think going all in a defense is not a bad idea, given that it's their current strength. Why not shore up that strength where you need to? It's just I wish they went receiver. That's just like my personal pick because I really wanted a fun, exciting new toy on offense. Right, like offense is so much more fun than defense typically, just from a casual fan perspective. And that's how I grew up watching it was offense over defense because I'm a kid. I like touchdowns, right? But I get why they did it. I understand it. I respect it. I think it'll be a fine pick down the road. I think he'll go out as fine as a pro. I just wanted somebody else. So, am I surprised? No. Am I happy? Yes. Um, I thought it was very interesting that the uh, the wide receiver slide came as late as it did. They went all the way to like I'm trying to think. JSN was the first one off the board, 20 to the Seahawks. So kind of indicative of just maybe the not the confidence in receivers that they had this year or that people had this year versus last year. Because I think you said on the live stream that by pick 13, three had been taken already. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jameson Williams for the Lions. So for them to go that like and all those guys are going to be like future all pros without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just not there. They don't know if JSN is going to be that guy or if Zay Flowers is going to be that guy. So
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I don't know. I kind of lived up to the hype of my general draft thoughts of like, don't know really what to expect, whether it was teams moving up and down, a lot of picks early. Texans really made kind of like the first kind of,
that was crazy.
yeah, that
That
was
was
like
crazy.
the starter pistol kind of like, let's go.
Yeah, he for context for you listeners who possibly didn't watch, Texans picked at 2 and then traded back into the first round at 3. They had pick 12 from the Browns. They traded pick 12 and some other stuff to the Cardinals for 3. So it went Panthers, Texans for the first 3 picks, and they got CJ Stroud and Will Anderson. So
Mhm.
a lot of moving in the first 12, 11 picks. So it was an exciting draft for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, Lukas Van Ness, I think he'll do pretty good. We should find some quotes, uh, Jordan, from his talking because I know he did talk with he was talking to media if I missed that correct.
You are correct. Is watching from Fontana, Wisconsin when he got the call that the Packers would
Don't you
take
want
him.
Fontana?
Exactly. He grew up in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago and I was always a hockey kid, so I was a Blackhawks fan. And then he gave a Go Pack Go in his first answer, according to Matt Schneidman. Excuse me. Paul Bradle had the info that outside of a 20-minute meeting at the combine, the Packers did not really contact him uh, all that much pre-draft, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, just a lot of it's all the smiles, it's the introductory things, a lot of praising Preston Smith, rattling off his sack numbers. Um, I
Would
think you
love to
even
know
mentioned,
Preston Smith's snack numbers now.
yeah,
Though.
exactly. The big Cheeto guy just hates that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I think he's indoctrinating himself within the edge rusher room very
Yeah,
quickly.
that's very good. He will wear number 90, old BG Raji number. Preston Smith poked fun on Twitter, said, "A, you can get 91 for the right price." Trying to sell his jersey to Lucas Van Ness, who promptly said, "No, I'll just wear 90," which was his number in his senior year of high school. There was something I wanted to. Oh, here we go. This is from Ryan Wood. Lucas Van Ness says Preston Smith is among the edge rushers he's modeled his game after. Quote, he's a guy I see similar to myself who has an ability to play in a lot of different positions. Good. Like,
Interesting.
you're going to get moved around with Joe Barry. And we joked about on the podcast that it might have been a little worrisome that the Packers didn't talk to Lukas Van Ness pre-draft, and I think it was Ty said that. Well, they're not going to make him play corner. And I retorted with, "Yes, they will, Ty. Joel Berry
Yeah,
had Preston Smith in coverage this year."
yeah.
Like, so they maybe should have asked Lucas Van Ness if he can play corner.
Never say never.
But the first time we see Lucas Van Ness in a 3-point stance and having to do backpedal against like Zay Flowers or somebody.
Good Lord.
The more things change, the more they stay the same, Jordan.
Hmm.
So yeah, I overall very think it'll be just fine. So not just fine, I think it'll be good. Just fine's a reductive way to say it. JSN gets picked. It goes to Seahawks. That's just fine. Glad it wasn't in division. There was a chance that he could have gotten taken by the Lions or the Vikings, which would have been just catastrophic to my heart. I'm trying to think, where are we at now in the draft? Pick 27. Who did Dallas pick? I just missed that.
Mozzie Smith from Michigan.
Defensive tackle. So no more tight ends have gone yet. There's 5 picks left. Jaguars, Bengals, Saints, Eagles, Chiefs. We'll get to that at the end of the pod as to who's left, who is going. But I guess, is there like a biggest surprise for you this going through this draft so far? Like, 'cause like obviously reacting
Ooh.
live, we had a couple of like surprises, but either a surprise trade or a surprise player picked. It can be like fallen picked at the appropriate spot where they went, etc., etc. But
That's a good question. I'm trying to run through the order. We got Young, Stroud, Anderson, Richardson. Who's fifth again?
Devin Witherspoon to the Seahawks.
Devin Witherspoon. That's kind of
Notably
interesting.
not Jalen Carter.
Not Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter going ninth to the Eagles is kind of a surprise, but also a great fit for him. So ultimately, I think he won out in a big way, especially going to a team that was moments away from possibly winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. I think Logan said it in the YouTube live stream, but that Jordan Walker was not Jordan Walker. Is it Jordan Walker? I feel like Jordan Walker is the Cardinals player. That's right.
Yeah.
Why am I got pod brain, Jordan. I have to think of his future teammate in Philadelphia, the guy they just drafted last year.
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis, thank you. Like I was close. Jordan Davis was like the guy for Jalen Carter last year. So big guy that's like a friend essentially. So he lands in a good spot. Jalen Carter does.
It's gotta be the Lions. It's gotta be the Lions. They were very much. They moved around too. I think I'm forgetting who they traded with. Was that the Cardinals?
They did trade with the Cardinals. They had they had pick 6 and traded it.
Pick 6. I was thinking that you were talking about the interception. They were kind of primed to really take someone that I thought the Packers, selfishly looking through that lens of like, they can really spoil the Packers' plans if they really so choose. And they took a running back who, I don't really know much about him. I'm not going to denigrate him and what he does and everything like that. I just think from a team building perspective, and I know they have 2 first-round picks tonight, but like, I don't know. That's a weird death chart. They have David Montgomery. They have DeAndre Swift, even though
it's a really weird pick.
Some injury concerns, but like, I don't know. I forget who the other pick that they had too at 18.
At 18, they picked an inside linebacker, Jack Campbell, who was
Jack Campbell. That's right.
At least on Tankathon. You guys know me. I like Tankathon for their mocks. Jack Campbell is slated to go in the 2nd. So, and I was doing PFF mocks all this week, and I had the opportunity to pick Jack Campbell a few times at inside linebacker at 45. So, a reach maybe, but if you like him, you like him. But I think it was commonly said that throughout this draft that teams didn't really have 32 first-round grades. They had 16, 17. So, I guess maybe the Lions had Jack Campbell in their top 17 or whatever you want to call it. But I agree with you that I think my biggest surprise is I'm gonna go two. One is how far Jalen Carter fell, because to get on a soapbox, knocking a guy like Jalen Carter for his off the field issues is only a problem when they come out of college, right? It's the only time the NFL actually cares about off the field issues. Once they're drafted and start playing, they could not care less, like teams in
Yeah.
the NFL do. Which, like, sure, whatever you can talk about, like, okay, they just want their asset to play games and win them Super Bowl. Sure, yeah, whatever. But it's awfully hypocritical to dock a guy a few $1 million to go 5 to 9 based on issues that he wouldn't have been would have been like hand waving essentially from the team that happened in if he'd been already on a team. Not to say that Jalen Carter's off the field issues are light; they're relatively heavy, but it's just it bothered me. I think more than I'm letting it should, but just surprised that he fell that far, despite like Ty said that when the Bears had their pick at one still, it was either Jalen Carter or a QB. Like Jalen Carter was going to be the first pick in like January before the incident happened and everything else. And yeah, nine's not that far to slide, but it just it rubs me the wrong way. So that's my little itty bitty tangent. But the other surprise was the Lions. I don't like their draft so far. Like I think they squandered those two picks, frankly. Picking a running back and not the top running back at 12 when they could have made all of their opponents' lives hell if they picked Lukas Van Ness, if they picked um, Miles Murphy, if they picked Nolan Smith or any of the other edge rushers, right? They could have like really caused some havoc on opposing quarterbacks, including Jordan Love. Like I was
Yeah.
very happy not to see an edge rusher taken like Lucas Van Ness or whoever else taken ahead of the Packers at 12. Same thing at 18. And it's not like the Lions won't have opportunities to get more edge rushers. They pick at 48 and 55 in the second and then 81 in the third. So they have room to still take an edge rusher, but like the talent difference between Lucas Van Ness and the edge rushers you're going to get in the second and third round big. Might be. That was kind of the argument I made on live stream was that I think you could have found a different value pick of Lucas Van Ness in the second or third, but they could have had. Let me double check and make sure I'm right here. If they didn't trade six, they could have had Tyree Wilson, who is a force to record
Yeah.
opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Like that would have been great for them, frankly, and trade it, get more picks, and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I think the Lions deciding to go offense when they already have DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery, and with how sometimes porous that defense was. Like they gave up 48 points to the Seahawks last year, and they weren't exactly like a stout defense. To go offense is a little concerning for me. But again, they got Jack Campbell at 18. Do with that what you may. I just think there was more surefire picks for them at 6 or at 12 or at 18 than what they ended up getting. So
As you're speaking, Miles Murphy just went to the Bengals at number 28.
love that for them. Opposite of or with
As
Trey Hendrickson too.
that is very good value for them too.
That's really good. I didn't think. I'm glad that he got picked first round because I think he's a monster. We call them a good predator in our
Yeah.
in our defense. Like he's just enforces his will. So yeah, shout out Miles Murphy going there. That's a nice pick. Jaguars picked Anton Harrison on a tackle from Oklahoma as well. So notably some names still floating out there to be picked. Brian Branch still there. Just trying to
Will
see who else.
Levis.
Joey Porter Jr. still there. Will Levis. Nolan Smith hasn't been picked yet.
Michael Mayer.
Yep. So we'll see. Did I say Brian Branch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, there's someone else too.
Osiris
Was
Terrence was on Tankathon. But currently 4 wide receivers went between picks 21 and I think 25 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it just happened. It went, oh no, yeah, 20 and 23. Yeah, because they all 20 through 23 all picked receivers. It went Jackson Smith, Najigba, Quinton Johnson, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, all right in a row. So there was the run. So do with that what you may. Packers will still need one. We'll see what they get this weekend or Friday tomorrow. Hopefully they pick a wide receiver tomorrow. But um, yeah, overall fascinating draft so far. Like I think this might have been maybe it's because I'm more tuned in to it. Like I was like covering
Yeah.
it and paying attention.
Of
But it's one of
course.
the more
Yeah.
like fun drafts I remember in a while.
Yeah. There's just like, I don't know, when things are this fluid and when you're hearing things about like 17 first round grades and stuff like that opens the door for a lot of volatility. And you
Mm-hmm.
like to see like you don't like to see people suffer in the moments if they're in the green room and they're not selected, like Will Vest or Will Levis. God,
We're tired, folks.
yes, me especially. But yeah, like if there isn't really clear consensus at a certain point and people have character issues or injury red flags, whatever, it kind of makes for a really interesting draft. And you just want to see how it all pans out, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers will still be doing what they usually do.
Right, absolutely. Zach Cruz just retweeted a tweet from at the 33rd team FB, and it was Chuck Pagano breaking down Lukas Van Ness's tape, and he said, "quote This guy is just a piece of clay that teams are going to mold into a pretty special player." So, hey, I'm fine with it. And it looks like Jacob, I guess, it looks like the Packers had a live Insta feed, like a live Instagram live with Lucas Van Ness, and he sleeps in a bunk bed or has a bunk bed in his house, one of the two. But it's just a funny picture.
Hmm.
Yeah. Regardless, um, notably, Lucas Van Ness is dating Bears tight end Cole Kmet's sister.
He is from Chicago.
He is from the Chicago area.
Interesting. Get a
Um,
little rivalry within the division, even more so.
just a little bit. I'm trying to think of what else. I guess we got 3 picks to go before we're
We don't want to tip like who could be available in the second round when they could easily be picked. Still,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out here.
yeah.
So I think I'm going to start this.
You know what we could do?
But
We don't have to. We don't have to do specific names yet.
all right.
Needs.
Needs, yes. I like this. I think in order of importance, I think they need wide receiver over tight end. But if they can find one that fills that bridges that gap, that'd be great. So like Michael Mayer is still there. He hasn't been picked yet. Knock on wood. But like Darnell Washington, you guys know how I feel about him. If he's there at 42, I think that's a pretty solid pick to go that way. I think you truthfully try and go 42, 45 tight end receiver if Darnell Washington is there. If Darnell Washington isn't there, I'd like to wait to the third to get Tucker Kraft. But I realized I just did what we said we weren't going to do.
Well, you know, I mean, it's fine. Like if you say the names, because we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see over the next.
We'll see over the next 3 picks, but
minutes.
right. I think okay, I'll backtrack. In order, wide receiver, tight end, and then safety, D line.
Wide receiver, tight end, safety, and D line.
Yeah, D line as in like interior D line.
Yes.
Like I'd like them to get a player late in the draft that they can develop, like alongside Devontae Wyatt and things like that.
Ooh. I'm gonna go tight end.
You think tight end more than receiver?
More so, it's yet to be really. Kincaid is the only tight end as we speak that has been picked.
Yeah.
Um, And this is kind of where we knew that it was going to start to really bubble up.
Yeah.
It has yet to do so, but that could easily change. I mean, we saw 4 wide receivers go pretty much in order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tight end, I would do. I kind of do. I don't know if I do D line now. Um, Maybe safety.
I've been mocking Jordan Battle in the third for
Yeah,
us, just because I said it in our last pod. Just the overall experience he had as a 4-year starter at Bama. I think 4-year starter at Bama means you're pretty darn good. So I'd be willing just to bet on him to be good like week 1 and just throw him out there and see how he goes, because the safety room is pretty thin at this point anyways, with just Rudy Ford, what would be Jordan Battle, and Darnell Savage. So you're
and
kind of just like,
Travarius Moore.
yeah, and, oh, yeah, I forgot what Travis Moore. Um, I just say let him go battle for it and see if he can win the job. Similar to how Quay kind of had to do that this year with Devontae Campbell's injury, and then eventually Devontae Wyatt hopefully kind of be slotted in there too.
Saints just selected Brian Breesy from
Yep,
Clemson.
edge rusher, right? Or
Yeah,
no, D lineman.
D line, but I think he's kind of
He's a both.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. I'm fine with that. I really think that all the players I want are gonna get scooped up, sort of in the middle, between 30 pick quote unquote 31,
Yeah.
and Packers at 42. It's a big worry of mine, but we're 2 picks away, so we'll see how she goes.
Yeah.
For seeing who's available. Um, yeah, I guess. Do you want to talk about expectations for Lukas Van Ness? Sort of like how you expect him
Ooh.
to perform this year.
Well, honestly, I don't think it's going to be all that different to what he was used to in Iowa. Like, I know the Gary injury and rehabilitation kind of opens the door for, meaningful snaps right away. Um, it's certainly something that he could really take the opportunity and run with it,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting. Um, like, there's still, like, as we talked about just before, like, there is still room for, you know, D line help, and Lukas Van Ness kind of transformed his game to being an interior lineman to
Right.
being an edge rusher. Maybe the Packers kind of look at that versatility and want to use it in similar ways. Um, I don't know. That's where it kind of lends itself to being a more kind of fun how useful he'll be when the time comes, because he is very gifted and you just want to see it translate right away. But, depending on it, it solely depends on when they think Gary's going to be ready and how far along that will be, because, they could easily be comfortable with Lukas Van Ness starting out if they want to really take it time with Rashan Gary.
Right.
That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Um, I really like your idea of that it picks up where he left off in college, because like going like he played a lot of snaps at Iowa. He didn't quote unquote start, but I think moving from a guy backing up college players to then starting in the NFL, very difficult transition. Like the game, like the game speed is so much faster. Guys are so much stronger. Like I think you hit the nail on the head that this is a really ample opportunity for him just to fill into the role he already played in college, and honestly gives him a better opportunity to succeed if he can just move. I shouldn't say move. If he could just slot into that spot and continue the production he had in college, like I don't think he'll have 6.5 sacks or seven sacks this year, but if you can get 3 or 4, like that'd be pretty. I love the optimism for all YouTube watchers who saw Jordan perk up with the idea of 6.5, 7 sacks, but I guess realistically, I don't think he'll be in there enough to get that. Like
Yeah.
unless Rashan Gary's really getting gravity from people on his side. That's the only way I can see Lukas Van Ness getting 6.5, 7 sacks. And if he's getting 6.5, 7 sacks, he's a defensive player or defensive rookie of the year candidate. So, which would
Yeah.
be good.
Absolutely.
But I just don't think he'll get the run from that, frankly. Also, watching clips on Twitter of Lukas Van Ness hitting the little dummies that are like that weeble wobble, and it's just like funny. That if you go get a chance, if you want to watch it, at D Line Coach Ed from February 6th posted a picture, and it's just Lukas Van Ness like open hand slapping the side of a thing, and it just going poosh and hitting the ground. I'll retweet it as you go to my Twitter if you want to go check it out. But very very funny video. Will Levis still sulking in the green room. Live
Mm.
update, 10:39, 10:40 p.m. On a Thursday night. I have Mel Kiper on mute, but I can't imagine he's saying anything worth listening to.
I feel like the Eagles picked Nolan Smith.
That would be a good pick for them. Shore up their edge rushing again. Eagles are just have this. Oh man,
They got a type. Yep, they took Nolan Smith at number 30.
did they?
Yes, they did.
Oh, I couldn't find it, or it wasn't live for me. So, with all that being said, you know what I think is actually very interesting is I'm looking at like tankathons um picks of like what they had mocked, and through their first 13 they had Nolan Smith going to the Packers. He hasn't been
Hmm.
taken yet. Will Levis hasn't been taken yet. Joey Porter hasn't been taken yet, and neither has Michael Mayer or Brian Branch. And I think Osiris Torrance. So about 5 picks from Tankathon's top 31 haven't been picked yet, which I think is like speaks to what we said earlier, right? That teams had 17 about or so players getting first round grades, and they
Yep.
all were just fluid in that middle there, right? And but ultimately, there's still 31 players that get picked in the first round. Where they went is kind of just the biggest difference in how teams saw them. Ty pointed that out on stream that like the top 10 were kind of locked, and then those other 7 were fluid as to what the first round grades were between each team. Just
Yeah.
something interesting that I saw, just that there was so much kind of moving around, but ultimately that a lot of the first round grades that were getting handed out still went first round. So Eagles pick is in. You said they picked what? I just forget it.
Nolan Smith.
Nolan Smith. So that just leaves the Super Bowl champion Chiefs, and then we'll get a chance to have our pick of the litter here at 42, 10 spots later or 11 spots later.
Hmm.
A lot of players that I think are worth looking at. Just going off a tankathon. Please, for the love of God, do not draft Hendon Hooker. But as of right now, Michael Mayer is still there. So is Jalen Hyatt. So is Darnell Washington. So is trying to see who else here. I'd be go with Keanu Benton, the D lineman from Wisconsin. He's still there. Antonio Johnson, the safety from Texas A&M. Even though I'd rather take Jordan Bell in the third. A lot of stuff there. Notably, what I'd be interested to see is how if the Packers go tackle. We didn't mention tackle in our needs. I don't think it's a need, but it's like a down the line need, if you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
depending on how they want to treat Zach Tom, if they want to move Zach Tom to center eventually, or move him to guard, or however they want to do it, or keep him at tackle for when Bakhtiari possibly leaves or gets traded. So it's currently right now it's Yash or Jenkins, depending on the week. It's usually Yash. Am I blacking out? I'm trying to remember who started at right tackle from in Game 17. I want to
I thought it was.
because
Or was it Tom? I can't remember. Why am I blanking?
right
It's
because like
I'm trying to
you want to know why? It's
misremember the game
because
too.
Elton Jenkins got paid tackle money for being a guard, and like that was just how it had to be. Box score. We're gonna get to the bottom of this, folks. Thanks for listening to us vamp. Um, where is offense? Starting lineup. Do. Packers starters. Here we go. Yeah, it was Yash. So yeah, Yash started at 10.
Right.
And so yeah, then
Yeah,
they
because he
they
was.
tendered him in the whole 9 yards. Um, so they could throw Tom over there for whenever they want to go, but I don't think Yash is the answer of the future. And so, do you draft Yash's replacement this year, or do you draft Yash's replacement next year? And I think that kind of depends on. We could have two first round picks next year, possibly two, one good one bad one. However, we want to think about the Jets doing it if Rodgers plays all year. Um, I think that would be good because right now Tankathon doesn't have too many tackles going in the first 15 picks of the, or first rather 12 picks of the second round. The first one they have going is to the Packers at it's Dewan Johnson. I can't read. Dewan Jones from Ohio State at 45. So I can't tell you too much about him. I didn't look that much into him, but he is the first tackle taken until then Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse goes at 49. Cody Mauch at 53. This is all mocks,
Yeah.
as we mentioned, but interesting to see just how they go about that because obviously tackle very important when it comes to protecting your new franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, now too, post Rogers trade, you got three day two picks, two of them within four picks of each other.
Yep.
It's gonna be quite interesting what the Packers prioritize, how they kind of shook out their own board versus general consensus. Because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, they do what they do. They do it their own way.
Do it the Packers way.
They do it the Packers way. We draft and develop, but that's what we do here. Um, I don't know. I'm honestly, I was kind of it's the more like I don't know as well about the draft deep within it, but the fact that like I know the Packers really excel finding guys later in the draft.
Yep.
That's where I get a little excited, like, oh, let's see how this guy can. We saw with Christian Watson, we saw with Romeo Dobbs before, both got injured and stuff like that. They have a knack for kind of finding these guys. Zach Tom too, not to discredit him, but like
Right.
they know what they're doing.
They do know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
They're the professionals, not you and I. We just have preferences of what sort of players we want to see and how we want to watch our football team because we're fans and ultimately that's what we all are. Like if we
Mhm.
if I would my say we'd have taken Justin Jefferson a couple years ago, we would have taken uh Jackson Smith the Juba this year, so many other like just talented receivers over the years and things like that. TJ Hawkinson, I was big on him. Packers weren't getting up that high, but I was a big TJ Hawkinson fan. So there's that. Just wait on Kansas City. They're the last one. They're ready to go. Kansas City's hosting the draft. Saw a stat there's 125,000 people in attendance. Um,
Jeez.
really hoping that the Packers get the opportunity to host one of these years. Like the Green Bay doesn't do it so many
Where'd you
years.
go?
It's a really good question. I think I think I'd have to go for draft sake or for not draft sake for pod sake to like check in with all you guys from live from the scene. Having been to um, the Deer District during the Bucks championship run, I was in the Deer District for Game 7 against the Nets, and it was without a doubt one of the most stressful things I've ever done. There were just so many people. Like I couldn't tell you how many people there were, but there was a lot. And I feel like 125,000 people would be about similar to how I'd feel there. Just like shoulder to shoulder touching people, not really having too much space and having to go a whole far away place. I'd have to be convinced, essentially. But I'd probably go. But
I would maybe go if it wasn't like overly expensive.
yeah,
But at some point,
notably,
I'm not.
we talked about like notably that the
Okay.
draft is like a weird event to attend.
Yeah.
You just wait for possibly hours, depending on when you pick, for your team to pick, and then you cheer for 10 seconds and it's over. Like it's a
Yep.
interesting event to
Unless if
attend.
like the stars align where your team is so shitty enough that you have the draft being held there and you have the first pick.
Yeah.
But other than that, like that's why like I don't know, the draft is in a fixed location for the NBA. It's at Barclays or
Yeah.
MSG way back when.
Well, it used to be at Radio City Music Hall in New York.
Oh, that is yeah, that's you. Yeah,
The draft
totally.
used to be. And then they decided to have the hot shot idea to move it around, which I think is a good idea. Like it
Yeah.
gives more credence to other fan bases to be able to attend. Not everybody can afford to fly to New York City. Not everyone can
Plus,
afford to buy tickets at Radio City Music Hall. Yeah, us. And so, um, yeah, just highlighting the cities around the league, I think, is a good idea. Last year was in Vegas, which was like the more richer side of things. Or 2 years ago, I think it was last year.
yeah.
But Kansas City this year, I forget where it is next year. Let's check it out. Because the Chiefs are still not
Oh,
picking.
yeah, there were. I'm trying to remember where it was or where it's going to be.
I have it. Detroit.
I was okay. I was going to say is I feel like Detroit's coming up.
Detroit. And then 2025 has not been decided yet. So maybe the Packers then. But I wonder where they do it in Detroit. If they do it in Ford Field or if they do it somewhere else. Oh no, it did tell me. It had a location. Campus, Meredith Park, Hart Plaza. So I wonder where that is. I wonder if that's like just like the Lions campus.
Hmm.
Nope, it's downtown Detroit. So yeah, right downtown. Similar to I think how I think Nashville did it a couple years ago, where they had it right on Broadway in downtown Nashville.
Yeah.
But this is the issue. Let's do a weather check on Detroit, Michigan right now, because I can tell you it's probably not going to be warm. And if you think a Super Bowl having snow is bad, imagine a snowy, a snowy draft. 46. That's chilly.
Yeah, that's not fun.
That's chilly. Chiefs pick is in. All right. We just gotta wait for it to go, and then we can talk about targets of who we'd want in the second round. We only had to vamp for about 10 minutes, but
Yeah, this is the we're
oof.
trying to get through it. Is it
Will
in?
Will Levis did not get drafted in the first round. They didn't. Ari Mariov just said that, so he must know who the pick is, but not that
Hmm.
we know. But Will Levis not getting drafted in the first round after all that smoke of him going possibly two. Interesting. But say what you will, I wasn't high on him in the first place, so that's just my 2 cents. Pick is in. They're just refusing to get there.
Oh, I
Oh,
see it.
who is it? Go for it.
Felix Anaduke
We
Uzuma.
looked at him in ours
Yes, we
as
did.
as a guy to possibly target for an edge rusher in the second round if they took JSN in the first or whoever in the first. So interesting to see him go in the first round. Good for him. Um, Notably, not taken, and would I don't think the Packers should take him. Since they already got their edge rusher for the draft, but the guy from um, Northwestern, and I just lost my page because I'm gonna pronounce it right this time for him
Oh
because
yeah.
Lord knows I did a horrible job butchering it in the first place. But I forget that he is a linebacker uh, in the Beast. So I had to go back and find it and go. This is premium draft content, folks. Thanks for tuning in. All love. Oh man. But I guess while I'm doing this, Jordan, why don't you talk about your targets for the second round so I'm not just vamping for so long.
Well, let's get into it. Tight ends, obviously, Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer still on the board. Luke Musgrave. Who am I forgetting? That was like a lot of them.
You said Michael
Um,
Mayer.
yep.
You said
Uh,
Luke Musgrave, Sam Laporta.
Luke Musgrave, Sam Laporta, another Iowan.
Iowa.
Iowa. Um, I'm gonna throw out the Northwestern guy out there too because he's very
I got it. I
intriguing.
found his name.
Yes,
Aditamiwa Adibare.
there we go.
Goes by Tommy.
Tommy, Tommy boy, Tommy. Yeah. Brian Branch still kind of intrigued by it. Like I know it's not the sexiest
Well, it's not that
name
it's
at
not
this point.
sexy, just that he doesn't play safety. He plays slot. He's a safety, quote
Yeah,
unquote, but he's more of like a slot corner,
yeah,
which would be fine. I would need to play safety if he's playing if we draft him, not slot corner.
yeah. I don't know. Is there anybody?
I think my two at this point are Darnell Washington and Jalen Hyatt. I'm not the
I
highest
forgot
on
about Jalen Hyatt.
I'm not the highest on Jalen Hyatt. Just I don't think he's a good route runner. I think he's just fast, which is fine. Like go for it. Um, but I'm not too crazy on any receivers later in the draft. That's just my opinion. Like I'm just not. I know there's some people who are
Rasheed Rice.
Rasheed Rice. I'd be fine with him. I watched a tiny bit of his tape, but now I can't find Jonathan Mingo, another guy. People are high on
Yep.
wide receiver from Ole Miss. So that'd be fine, but those are third round guys. I don't want to reach a full round on Rasheed Rice or Jonathan Mingo. So
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what they pick. I really, really, really hope they pick Darnell Washington at tight end at 42. If he's there. I don't think he might not be there, but that's my like big googly eyes, awooga pick of the second round. 45, I don't really care so long as it's a tackle, a safety, or a receiver. Basically, my wants there. Anybody they draft there, essentially, of those three positions, I'm fine with. I'll trust
Yeah.
maybe as who they. I'm not gonna have like opinions on the player itself, unless it's like someone they really reach on, right? That was like
Yeah.
very far down. Like it's someone appropriate at tackle, safety, or receiver.
Yeah. Kind of similar mind with that, where at least with the three picks that you have, and the fact that you're going semi early in the second round,
Right.
you're probably going to cover your bases in terms of like picking a best player available in one way, but one that covers needs
Yeah.
within your roster. Because as we have pointed out many times throughout this process, there are a lot of holes that they have to cover, and it kind of is exciting that they have as many picks in this draft as they do
Yeah.
to really kind of beef it up.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a fun day two. I think day
Yep.
two is like the day I'm most excited about through the 3 days, just because
Absolutely.
3 picks and 3 picks at positions where I think we could get really good players. Like even if we miss Darnell Washington at 42, I would really like to get Tucker Kraft in the third round from North Dakota State or South Dakota State. I think he's just a really good tight end that provides as much value as any of the other ones. Just not as polished, would need some work, but can still be a really good player and great value at 73 or 75. I forget what they pick. 78.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Definitely watching the tight ends, because I think that once it starts moving, it will start going.
Yeah, we need one of Michael Mayer, Tucker Kraft,
Florida, Washington.
yeah, Darnell Washington. Or I'm not the best on Sam Laporta, frankly, but if that's what they end up with, fine. But
Brave.
yeah, Musgrave too. I'd be fine with Luke Musgrave. That's fine with me. Like
Yeah.
that's a great pick. Another receiving heavy tight end as opposed to like a blocking tight end. So yeah, like I really don't hope all 5 of them are gone by 42, but I think they should get tight end short up 42, 45 instead of waiting to the third round. Like I don't think you reach for Tucker Kraft at 70 or at 42, 45 and instead wait. But if they don't get one of the 4 in the second, that's like a pretty big gamble to go in the offseason or to go into the third round with. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jordan? Always I think we can wrap up.
No, fun night. Fun night. I am always excited draft time, and it finally feels good after talking about this and kind of going through the process of going through all these prospects and names and just like how would this work with the Packers? And it's not like there's a blank slate, but it kind of feels that way with where the roster is at, especially with now that Aaron's gone. This is a new window.
A new era.
So kind of new era. So it kind of gives a little bit of like a little jolt of like, let's see how this goes. Let's see where it goes in the next 3 to 5 years. Because This is where the work gets done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is where dreams are made of, where dreams are built. Well, it's April 27th. We
Yes.
have just short or just over 4 months of looking at these guys and
Yeah.
think about how they can possibly impact the Packer season to make it a winning one, not a Super Bowl winning one, but a positive season. So, all right, folks, thank you all for listening. Promo time. You can find me and Jordan on Twitter at Numac is known at Jordan Tresky. Go check out at gspn.info for all of the links to Packers, the Talk of the Tundra, Win in Six, Eurostep, Cruising for a Bruising, and Make Time for This. Brain's a little slow on the processing power at this moment.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Go check out Repod, our favorite place to talk Packers with our community. Join the Discord. We have all the channels in there. Talking about, unfortunately, Bucks off season now. Brewers in the thick of it. Packers stuff for the next 4 months and training camp and all that good stuff. Yeah, coming out. You can go get the link and get the invite there. Be sure to rate 5 stars and review. We'd love it if you did. We'd really appreciate it. If your first time listening to us, thank you. You're joining in at a great time. We don't got to worry about an anti-vaxxer leading your football team anymore. So, cool, right? I think I surprised Jordan in the direction there, but I'm just really happy to have this era start and have Jordan Love start playing football for us in a couple months. I'm thinking you probably feel the same because I was
Mhm.
there with you on the pods screaming for Jordan Love. So you guys know
Absolutely.
where we stand on Jordan Love now, and I think that's about a pod. Jordan, thanks for everybody.
Thank you.